Okay, gentlemen, welcome to Perashat Vaethanan. It's Shabbat Nahamu, of course. And although Moshe Rabbeinu was still in his mode of rebuke, but there is Nehama and consolation that you can take, not just from the Haftarah, but even from the Parashat. But the Parashat begins with Moshe Rabbeinu sharing with us, you can say something personal. It's reflection. He's still in a reflecting mode as he was in last Parashat, telling the new generation in the 40th year on the cusp of entering Eretz Yisrael about some of the events of the prior 40 years. But now the reflection becomes personal, and he's going to give us an insight about something that we had no knowledge of and wouldn't have unless he now provides it. And that is that everyone, I had a personal plea to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vaethanan Adonai ba'et hahi lemor. I prayed to God. When did I pray? I waited until we conquered Sihon, Melech HaEmori, and Og, Melech HaBashan. I waited till I saw that we made headway in terms of our victories and in terms of our gaining of territory and reaching Eber HaYarden, the bank of the Jordan. I waited till the most opportune time, and then I went for it. I prayed to God. It was personal. I was banned from entering Eretz Yisrael. My dream came crashing down. And I told Hashem, "I'berana ve'ereh et ha'aretz ha'tovah, ha'har ha'tov hazeh ve'ha'lebanon." Please, I'berana, let me pass and let me see the good land. I shed be'eber hayarden on the other side of the Jordan. Ahar ha'tov hazeh ve'ha'lebanon. According to Rashi and Targum and Kelus, Ahar ha'tov refers to Yerushalayim. The Lebanon refers to famously the Bet HaMikdash. He asked to enter Eretz Yisrael, and of course, he told us what the reaction was of Hashem. The response was, "Vayitaber Adonai bi lema'anchem." Hashem refused. He held back because of you. So, the immediate reaction we should have to this prayer is, why in the world is Moshe Rabbeinu, since it had no impact, really, there were no results, it didn't change anything, why would he share this personal prayer with Am Yisrael? And the reasons, which we can figure out on our own, are pretty obvious, and the Mefarshim go through them. Well, first of all, he says, L'ma'anchem, because of you. According to Ramban, this is a continuation of his rebuke to Am Yisrael. Look, I didn't enter the land because of you and your misdoings. And to tell them that I wanted to get in badly, and it was really because of you that Hashem wouldn't let me in. On the other hand, Ibn Ezra says that this is really to endear the land to them and to demonstrate to them that their leader, their fearless leader, him himself, Moshe Rabbeinu, how much he loved and he wanted to and he yearned to enter the land. You should love it. You should anticipate entering into it with excitement and yearn for it as well. Okay, so that's why he decided to share his personal feelings. But there is truly a fundamental problem, you can say, and question with Moshe Rabbeinu's prayer that we really have to approach and address. Abarbanel brings it up. You can say, we can even make it into twofold, even though it's really one question. He says, Ve'ereh. I want to preface it with something else. I want to share with you something personal. And that is, to me, this is one of the saddest moments in the Torah. It's hard for me to read it sometimes on Shabbat without crying, because this is Moshe Rabbeinu, really in the most simplest way, pleading, I want to pass. I want to get in, please, Hashem. I want to enter the Holy Land. And he was refused to him. You have to appreciate besides all the intellectual power in Moshe Rabbeinu's prayer, the emotional part of this. It's human. You have to appreciate it. And the truth is that you think about the future and Tahayat HaMetim and how great the Geulah will be in the resurrection of the dead, etc. I tell you, if for no other reason that Moshe Rabbeinu being allowed to see Israel, that's enough to want Tahayat HaMetim to come. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to the fundamental problem that I was bringing up. that Abarbanel brings up. And let's break it into two questions, but it's really one. First of all, he says, Ve'er'eh et ha'aretz hatovah. Let me pass the Jordan and let me see the good land. I want to ask you a question. Moshe Rabbeinu has seen it all. And talking about in terms of visions, prophetic visions, he has seen what no man has ever and will ever see. Like a man speaks to his friend, Hashem told Aaron and Miriam. That's the way me and Moshe Rabbeinu speak. The depth of the visions of Moshe Rabbeinu and what he's been able to conceptualize and understand and comprehend and see, really. Those visions are incomparable with anything on earth. Why is he begging to see a land? To see a land, all right, land, it's a beautiful land. You've seen it all. But let's compound that with something even more fundamentally difficult, conceptually difficult. Does Moshe Rabbeinu not know where he's going right now? Does he not know when he was about to pass and leave this world, when his soul departs from his body, that he's going to Olam HaEmet, to Olam HaNeshamot, to a great spiritual height, to be elevated into the highest spiritual realm that perhaps any man will ever be elevated to? That the sachar that he's earned, the reward that Moshe Rabbeinu has merited from all his greatness in this earth, and he has to know that he's going to this great place of pleasure. Why would our rabbi, the greatest prophet ever, be yearning for material existence, physicality, being on a land, seeing a land, experiencing trees and rivers and grass, physicality? Why is he craving materialism? This is Moshe. He knows that he's about to experience what will be the greatest pleasure that man can in a metaphysical way. But he knows that more than anyone else. Why is he demonstrating to us also that he is yearning and craving for physicality? It's really you can call it almost a philosophical question. There are plenty of answers. As you can imagine, the Mefarshim really address why Moshe was asking this. And there are many answers. On one hand, Moshe, to the last moment, wanted the opportunity to mekayem a mitzvah. As Hachamim tell us in Perkei Avot, Abarbanel brings this as well, that Yafeh sha'a achad ba'olam hazeh b'tshuva, one moment in this world of self-improvement is greater than all of Hayya Olam Haba, and that is because this is the world of doing. The next world is the world of receiving. Hachamim tell us, Hamavashel b'erev Shabbat ochel b'Shabbat. We mentioned in our Kohelet classes, whatever you do in this world, whatever you can do, engage in, because this is the world of accomplishment. And if you accomplish, you'll reap the benefits later. But once this world ends, there's no opportunities. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to take advantage of whatever he could. And you know, there are laws, there are mitzvot in Eretz Yisrael, laws of the land, plenty of them, that you can only fulfill in Eretz Yisrael. He wanted those opportunities. And therefore he craved. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is that he wanted to take responsibility. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a land. He promised it to the forefathers. So the forefathers would only have the potential for their offspring and their descendants to benefit from it. They never saw it. Moshe Rabbeinu was charged with the responsibility of bringing the nation out of Egypt and bringing them into the entrance of Eretz Yisrael, crossing the threshold. That was his responsibility. And he worked hard for 40 years in the desert. No one worked harder than him, toiling with the nation, bringing them to the point that they were able to enter. He wanted to finish the job off. He felt it his personal responsibility to finish this off. And so he craved entrance because he was accountable for himself. And he felt it his duty to be able to show them the way one last time and bring them to Israel and finally fulfill the promise to the forefathers. Another possible reason that Moshe Rabbeinu loved the people. He loved them so much. He guided them. He wanted to be able to guide them into the land He wanted to be able to perhaps give them a special blessing when on the land. He wanted to be able to be part of annihilation of the Canaan and the 7 nations and make sure that that was done properly so it doesn't come back to haunt the people. And in almost I could say a personal way, but he wanted to be able to step on the holy place. Har Hazeh, Har Habayit, Har Moriah, the Makom HaMikdash, the place the temple, the Beit HaMikdash would be built. Show them this is the spot Abraham stood on, and this is where we build our Beit HaMikdash. He wanted to be the guide one more time. Maybe perhaps, and Barbarella suggests that really he wanted to disprove what the spies and devalidate what the spies had claimed, that this is a land of, the enemies devour you, and they basically turned the people off from the land. Hatem Meragalim is what caused their extended stay in the desert, and he wanted to disprove how wonderful this land is. So for all of the above, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to enter. And I think that's enough for us, right? I mean, enough reason for him to yearn despite the fact that it was material. He was taking responsibility. He craved to be doing every last mitzvah on earth. He wanted to continue being the leader of the people. He wanted to disprove Rishaim. I mean, it's all there. So I think that justifies the request. But I think there's one bigger question, we'll end with this. And that is, why did Hashem refuse? After all that, did we list enough substantial reasons for Moshe to want to enter? Has he put up a defense, an argument that is strong enough? Why is it not convincing? Why aren't those reasons valid? Vaethaber Adonai bi lema'anchem. Hashem held his ground. He refused. He was adamant. He wouldn't let me in. Why? And the truth is, Mefarshim, the commentaries give answers, but if you look at the answers, they align so well with Moshe's requests. And we could really demonstrate that in 2 words in the extension of what Hashem told him. Vayomer Adonai Elai, the next pasuk says, Moshe Rabbeinu tells us that Hashem told me, Rav lach, al tosef deber elai od badavar hazeh. It's enough. Hajj Moshe. I've heard enough. Don't mention it one more time. Ale Rosh HaPisgah, go up to the mountain and I'll let you see it from a distance. Rab lach. Within those 2 words, what does that mean? Too much, a lot for you, no more. Rav, a lot, abundant, lach for you. Really, you can see that those 2 words provides us all the answers we need why Hashem refused his wonderful and eloquent requests. Number 1, he said, I want to go in to fulfill more mitzvot. The answer is, Rav lach, you have so much waiting for you. As Rashi explained on that pasuk, that you have so much more waiting for you. Rav tov safun lach, I have so much that Moshe, you are going to experience in Olam HaEmet. Don't worry about it. I know you want more mitzvot. You can't imagine how much is waiting for you. Rav lach, there's plenty waiting for you. That's one way to explain it. The Or HaChaim says something really profound. And he says that all of the zichuyot that they will merit when they enter the land are all going to be given to Moshe Rabbeinu. Rav, in other words, the greatness of experiencing Eretz Yisrael, lach, will be attributed to you. In other words, it's possible that this aligns well to the fact that he wanted to take responsibility to fulfill the objective and the mission and put that on his shoulders and do it. You know what Hashem's saying? You're doing it. You're getting all the credit. They're going to enter the land. You'll be there. Your investment in this nation for the past 40 years or 41, going back to Mitzrayim, is worth it. It's going with you, and it's as if you are there. Rav, the credit the great accomplishment of entering Lach. It's all yours. Don't worry. I'm considering that you took responsibility because you got them to this point. And indeed, when they enter, it'll be given to you. All the credit is due to you, and you'll be there with them as their fearless leader. And so those two words pack a lot of power and insight. Rav Lach. Moshe, no worries at all. And in terms of his personal craving to enter the land, Hashem didn't give in, but he gave in to some extent. Let's not take for granted those words, Ale Rosh HaPiska V'sa Einecha. Go up to the top of the mountain and look. All directions, Yamav, Separam, east, west, north, south. Because if we can now fast forward to the end of Perashat Zota Beracha, it said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed him everything. And the Hachamim tell us that he really showed him everything. There's a prophetic vision, and then there's somewhat of a superhuman physical vision. And somewhat the mixture of prophecy and actual vision. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sort of gave him a, what we would call nowadays a virtual view of Eretz Yisrael. And he toured him around. And he actually gave him, to some extent, a physical experience of the land. And he actually satisfied the yearnings and the cravings of Moshe Rabbeinu to some extent. Aleh Rosh HaPiska. Moshe, I'm going to give in to some extent. Between me and you, I'm going to really let you see. I'm putting on this facade right now. I'm going to let you see. And so Moshe Rabbeinu was justified in his request, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu was justified in his refusal. And we can at least go to sleep with a smile on our face, knowing that Moshe Rabbeinu had some satisfaction. And we can certainly go to sleep with a prayer and a hope towards our Geulah Shema that we prayed for all day yesterday, because with it will come to Hayat HaMetim. And with it, our Rabbi Moshe Rabbeinu will finally realize his yearnings and his cravings to be able to pass that Jordan River and enter into Eretz Yisrael and experience the great and holy land. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.